Lieutenant Governor Polito paid a visit to Fitchburg to view the progress on the Main Street Theater block with Mayor DiNatale and the president of Fitchburg State University. Fitchburg gears up for this year's Long Joe bike race, and Fitchburg High School holds a walkout in support of the Florida tragedy. I'm Stephanie Allison. All this and lots more coming up on the extended Our City News.
And now, the latest news, sports, and weather with Stephanie Allison and the entire Our City News team.
Lieutenant Governor Polito was in Fitchburg viewing the progress being made at the theater block with Mayor DiNatale and the president of Fitchburg State University. We caught up with them during the tour.
This is just another demonstrated collaboration between the university and certainly the city and the state, and how we are inextricably tied together with what we accomplish. It's all because of collaboration and partnership, and this is a wonderful example and demonstration of that. So we couldn't be happier. Also, to have the Lieutenant Governor here today, who spends a lot of time in Fitchburg. We're very fortunate for that, and we thank her.
I just want to thank the mayor for his leadership and President Lapidus for his leadership in the university. This is a public-public partnership with state and local government coming together and the university, which is a real engine for economic opportunity. What I love about this is it looks pretty beat up right now, but the opportunity and the potential here is great, right. Not only for more economic development in your downtown, which I know is a high priority for you, but for the students who are engaged in learning and then developing into perhaps business owners and eventual residents of this city permanently. And when the younger generation, the next generation stays here, starts their careers here, grows jobs here, lives here, raises their families here, that brings a lot of stability to a city like this. And I just feel that this creative economy, the tourism that you can build on, coupled with the fact that you're an urban center, but you're in a part of the state that offers a lot of recreation and activities that young people like, and you're connected to the city with your commuter rail. So you've got a lot to build on, a lot to do.
We're fortunate.
And we, as you know, at the executive office, including Secretary Ash, who was just here last month, will work with you. This is a team effort.
Absolutely.
And I'm really happy that I could be here today to see it and figure out with you how we can share resources and develop this program even further.
Thank you.
I think it was said well. I don't know where I'd go from there. We see this project as being transformative. I try not to use that word very often. I think it's overused, but I think in this case it's fitting. When I came here, I saw great potential in the university, the students, the faculty, very interested in entrepreneurship, creativity, finding a makerspace, an opportunity to take advantage of some of the resources here downtown that might or might not be available. And so growing out the Entrepreneurship Center is a great opportunity for them. It's also an opportunity for us to sort of triangulate the community into the mix, try to help those that are starting or thinking about small businesses, family businesses. We have a growing underrepresented population here that's looking for opportunities which we think we can serve. As Steve said, the city and the university have been extraordinarily collaborative. I enjoy the relationship. We're purposefully working together. Certainly appreciate the Lieutenant Governor for coming out, as well as Secretary Ash, who was here a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited that they're taking interest and notice of the hard work that we're trying to do here in Fitchburg. And I think it has just absolutely tremendous potential for this Upper Commons area that I think will then help the rest of Main Street and beyond to think bigger than perhaps what they're thinking now and grow. So I see tremendous momentum, and we're excited to get going. In a couple of weeks, we'll have this done.
Good.
And now Edgar Davis has the 5-day forecast. Edgar?
Thank you, Stephanie. And now here's your Our City News 5-day forecast. After weeks of nor'easters, we close out this week with cloudy skies throughout the rest of the day and partly cloudy skies at night with a temperature high of 45 and a low of 32. Saturday will be more the same with mostly cloudy skies for day and partly cloudy skies at night. You can expect to wake up to snow on Sunday morning in addition to light rain with a temperature high of 39. But by then, skies will be clear that night with a temperature low of 28. Both Monday and Tuesday will see sunny skies during the daylight and clear skies at night, with temperature highs ranging in the lower and upper 40s and lows from the upper 20s to low 30s. We may be in spring, but we still can't shake that winter weather. That's New England for you. This is Edgar Davis with the weather for Our City News. Back to you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Edgar. Summer is quickly approaching, and so is the Longzhou bike race. Glenn Fossa has more on what we can expect from this year's race. Glenn?
It is that time of year again as we see the sunshine coming, reminding us that Longzhou Classic is not that far away. Mr. Mayor, Stephen DiNatale with us, the Honorable Mayor. Steve, this is a great day, kicking off our ideas forward for the Longzhou 2018.
Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, you know, we're joined here by Mr. John Ingery. I want to say how special the work is that he does for the city of Fitchburg and for the Longzhou race. You know, last year's event, from what I'm told, was we had everything working in our favor. The weather was outstanding. The event and the planning that went into it, and a great deal of it had to do with this guy standing right there, Mr. Ingery. And we couldn't be happier and more thankful as a city for the work that he puts into the Longzhou race.
Yeah. Don Ingery, of course, a longtime director and supporter, and things behind the scenes and in front of the camera with Longzhou. Tell us a little bit about what to expect for 2018.
Well, we're looking forward to a spectacular race. We have already riders from around the country, and we've had a few inquiries already from around the world that are coming back to Fitchburg. And I just had a story told to me. There were people down in Florida that came up for this race last year, and they were in their 60s. And they've been pro racers in their previous life, and they came back to Fitchburg because it was on their bucket list. So this is a very, very special race, and we need a lot of people to come on out. It's free to come on down and be a spectator. A lot of children's events, a lot of food, and we'll be talking about the food in just a few minutes.
And, of course, commercial, resident, private residents, longtime supporter of downtown, John Zarella. Great to see you from Research Results today, supporting Longzhou.
Pleasure to be here, Glenn. Again, as Don knows, Don asked if we'd get involved this year, and I said, it's a Fitchburg institution. For us, it was a no-brainer. Thrilled to be part of it. Just can't wait to see what a great race they put on this year.
Off the back of St. Patrick's Day, we can all remember our corned beef, and of course, talking about beef, that's Midtown Beef. Paul, good to see you today. Tell us about your involvement with Longzhou.
Well, this year, Don, at Steve's request, solicited us to Midtown Beef, Favorite Foods, our parent company, solicited us to provide the food, hot dogs, hamburgers for the children's race, which we were more than happy to do. It's a fabulous community activity, the Longzhou race, and we're glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. Fitchburg Access Television, of course, also postured to bring you coverage of this year's 2018 Longzhou Classic.
Fitchburg High School senior Audrey Johnson is up for the Frank Kelly Adversity Award. Her story is one that won't soon be forgotten. Let's take a look.
None of us ever know where we might need a savior. Sometimes things just happen, and we have no control over the outcome. Fitchburg High senior Audrey Johnson found out what it's like when people who were just doing their job can make a huge difference. In the blink of an eye, the 17-year-old student athlete was suddenly forced to battle for her life. One night last February, her car slid on the snow-covered roads, crashing through a chain-link fence and dropping down a 70-foot embankment. But the worst was yet to come. Landing upside down, the Jeep plunged into the frigid waters of the Phillips Brook. Audrey became trapped, hanging upside down, pinned in place by her seatbelt. Desperately, Audrey struggled to get free as the icy waters began to freeze her hands and feet. She eventually managed to climb from the vehicle and got to the snow-covered embankment, but was then faced with a 70-foot rocky cliff covered in ice and snow, an impossible climb.
That night, we got a call for what seemed like a standard accident for a car off the road. We had recently gotten snow, so the roads were slick. Myself, I was the deputy that night, our ladder truck, and an engine. You know, at first they had trouble locating the vehicle because they said someone was off the road, but as soon as they looked down into the embankment, which was about 60, 70 feet down, they noticed that a car was down there on its roof. Very cold temperatures that night. We were worried about hypothermia. She had apparently been down there for about 45 minutes before anybody found her. And we're worried about people of all ages, but you know, someone that's younger, either like a pediatric or a young adult, you know, you automatically, you know, in the back of your mind, this person has their whole life ahead of them. We had to travel down a steep embankment, and then there was about another 15-foot drop-off to the point where before we could get to the car. You know, you try to train the best you can for the calls that you go on, but some calls are unexpected, you know, and that was a call that we don't get too often. I can understand why people would get, you know, a little bit more emotional because it's a younger person, you know, that has their whole life ahead of them.
Well, this is a great opportunity to talk about Audrey and really the pride that she brings to the school community and this experience that she had. As a school system, we knew a lot about Audrey in terms of her academics, in terms of her athletic ability. And, you know, you figure when you've got an athlete of that type and an academic young person of that type that persistence and grit is a part of who they are. And what this experience has really shown is that you know, those characteristics that can make Audrey the great student that she is, you know, came to play in this situation. I think it reflects on the community and how the community being ready, because we had the right people at the right place at the right time. You know, one of our treasured students, you know, was able to receive the help that she needed when she needed it most, and really allow her to continue on in the great career that I know is waiting for her.
Well, I remember I was home. It was Friday night. It was later on. I was home with my son, in fact, and we were watching Pete's Dragon. I can specifically tell you because I was getting ready to get him to bed, and I started to get phone calls and messages that, you know, one of our students had gone off the road and potentially into either the natural river or a body of water. And so, you know, of course now I was calling the school resource officer. I was getting in touch with people. I soon learned it was Audrey. Again, for the next half hour, 45 minutes, you know, I was in touch with 5 or 6 different people, the superintendent, the VPs here, you know, a number of other folks, and until we finally, you know, got some confirmation that she was, you know, recovered and saved and ultimately transported to the hospital, was going to be okay. You know, I called her parents at that point to just let them know that, you know, we were concerned about her, whatever was she, you know, was dealing with, the school would work with them, not to worry about that, focus on recovery and all those things. And yeah, it was terrifying. You know, anytime that comes up, it's terrifying, you know, as a school and as a person who represents the school, you know, who would find out about it. You know, and like I said, I could tell you exactly where I was sitting and what I, you know, was doing even. That's how vividly I remember it. You know, when we started to hear the details of it, it was just startling, too. You know, the gravity of the situation became even more real, you know, when the details emerged. You know, I think everybody's reaction here was, you know, one of relief that she was okay and that she was going to be okay, and that, we'd support what she needed, as a student and as a person in the school. And I think that was universal in every interaction I had with people about it over the next period of weeks.
It's traumatic being in any kind of a car accident, let alone one to the nature that she was in. And she fought to get herself back into competition shape, being able to participate in softball, compete in volleyball, compete in track. And it was funny because it wasn't something we really ever talked about, her accident or coming back from it. She didn't make a really big deal about it. She just kind of plugged along and did what she needed to do to get back into softball and, to be a teammate in volleyball and track. And it was as we were getting ready for districts, the day before districts again, she came up to me and she goes, I'm getting my ears pierced tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, when? Because we have a track meet. And she goes, like in the morning, I think. She goes, this is my anniversary. And I'm like, oh my God, Audrey, I wasn't even thinking about that. And she goes, yeah, so I'm going to celebrate my anniversary getting my ears pierced. It's going to mark the occasion. I'm going to do something joyful. And then she came to the meet, and we're all competing. She had a huge monster PR. She was throwing great all week, and we knew it was within limits, 7.75, and so we knew that she was right. Something good was going to happen, and we'd been aiming for 30 feet for a long while. Like, you can do it. There's a little line right in our field house where 30 feet is, and I'm like, you're so close to the line. You're so close to the line, and she did it. Like, she threw a huge PR, and I just thinking about how everybody was around her and how she just kind of really was like, I am taking back this date. Really in my mind was very symbolic of like how she kind of addressed coming back from the whole accident. And I thought, what better way to kind of celebrate her efforts during the track season. And I mean, she was a leader in the shot put. She was a senior shot putter. She really kind of tried to take care of all the underclassmen. She's like a role model type of senior that you want to have on your team. I thought it would be a nice recognition if she received the award.
I was over at my friend's house, and I was driving to my other friend's house to go sleep over because she also lived closer to where Fitchburg High was, and I had a track meet the next day. So I'm like, oh, perfect. I just sleep over your house and whatever, just go to the track meet. I don't have to wake up early. Perfect. And so I was driving, and the roads were treated to one point when I was leaving his house. But then what happened was once I hit the hill part, the roads were snowed down. Everything was like pitch white. You couldn't even see the roads. Those parts weren't treated at all. So I obviously slowed down. Everything was fine. I was under the speed limit. And then what happened is my tires caught the ice, and I started skidding, and my car would not stop. And all I remember seeing was a fence, and I remember my car hitting, and I remember just going down in my car, and I had to put my hands on the wheel. I pushed off right away because it felt like I was in a roller coaster, just going straight down. I don't know exactly if I was unconscious or not, but all I remember is I woke up upside down in my car. Everything was backwards to me because you're upside down. And I remember feeling water rushing through my head. My automatic reaction when you're in a car upside down, you hear water and it's all in your car, my automatic reaction is, I'm gonna sink. I'm sinking, I need to get out of the car. And then I finally relax, I look to my left and right, it's just river water flowing. I'm perfectly fine, I'm not gonna sink, everything's perfectly okay. And so I calmed myself down, and all I could think of, I need to get out of the car. That's the first step, just get out of the car. I took the key out of ignition, I popped it in the seatbelt, and I got out. The back seat window was actually completely shattered, no glass whatsoever in sight on it, so I climbed out the back window. I got out of the car, and I tried actually climbing the embankment. At this point, my shoes and socks are all off because they fell off as I'm climbing out, and I'm not going to go back from too late. I'm not going to go back in the car. I was very close to actually getting up, but I couldn't because my body temperature kept lowering due to how cold it was. So I'm just like, okay, we're gonna try another way. So I tried the second way, and that was even steeper and it wouldn't even work. I was starting to lose consciousness because of how cold it was. And so I'm like, oh, that way it only went to my knee. It's perfectly fine. So second step again, just went to my knee. Third step, still to my knee. My fourth step, my whole body slipped into the rock and I went completely down into the water and submerged. Like, I was starting to like give up on myself because I was probably stuck down there for like an hour at that point. I was starting to give up because I was just so cold. I couldn't feel anything. And so I just rested my hands on the rock and I just sat there. I do remember people shouting and saying, "Where is she? Where is she? Who are you? Who are you?" Like, just trying to figure out what happened. They actually had to have 7 people push me up and 7 people pull me to just get me up. So that's all I remember was that part, is just being lifted. I just remember being lifted in the board. But all I remember is seeing just white lights, just white. All I could think of was, I need to do this sport. I need to go back to what I'm doing. So a week out of it, I couldn't do anything. I was limited. I couldn't even pick up a fork. I had to have someone feed me sometimes, but I like slowly started I'm like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna try holding a fork again. I had to learn how to do that. I had to learn how to feed myself again. And I'm like, I wanna hold a bat again. I'm gonna hold a softball. I want this to be like inspiration to kids, because you hear this all the time, like a kid breaks their ankle or they go through surgery and they're like, oh, I can't play this sport anymore. Being able to visit them again, because you don't usually get to see the people who actually really helped you through the process and like made this like possible for me to be here today. Like, if it wasn't for them, like I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Well, hey, it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good luck.
Thank
We're happy you're feeling well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fitchburg High School students held a walkout in the field house in support of the recent high school massacre in Parkland, Florida. Our City News and the FHS reporters have the story.
This isn't just a walkout, it's our lives. Esto no es solo una huelga, es nuestro vida. I do not believe we are reaching our full potential, and we could be doing more as a school. We, as a whole, have an opportunity to spark a change within our community.
All right, I'm here with Mr. Roach, Principal Jeremy Roach of Fitchburg High School. So, Mr. Roach,
yes,
you know, this event is not only significant to schools in the nation.
Right.
It's also controversial among a lot of people. So, first of all, before I get into the deeper question, what went through your mind when Michaela Wakefield, the organizer, or whoever, came to your office and said, we want to organize the school walkout?
I mean, it was like, yes. That's what you're asking what went through my mind. That was my initial thought. Yeah. Okay.
And was there anything going on in your mind that seemed to be? Was there any ambiguity? Let's just say that word, because some principals of other high schools, some superintendents have other thoughts on this event, on the contrary to yours.
No, I would say, I wanted to be supportive of students who were trying to do something positive, who were trying to make an impact in not only the community but the world. So I kind of see that as our job here too. I mean, it's education. So part of education is about helping people realize their civic responsibilities and how to do that. And what they presented was something that was very well organized, very much included the voices of many. As many as it were in the school could have participated, and I feel like that's what schools should be about.
All right. So the second question, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, mental health.
Yeah.
Some people are saying mental health. Some people are saying gun law reform.
Right.
And it's on that scale where no one can really pinpoint what the issue is. So they're just looking at all possibilities. But I just wanted to talk to you on the issue of mental health.
Okay.
So what are you doing as a principal of Fitchburg High School to maybe alleviate this sense of despair, despondency in some students? Because it was said that the suspect of the Florida school shooting was really very aloof, and he wasn't more so distance.
Right. So
there could be that student in your school. So what are you doing in your school to make that? And I know Fitchburg High School does really well in including people and being very affirmative. So what are you doing?
Well, I mean, as a school, we have counseling positions. We have 2 licensed social workers. We do have a school resource officer. We have 6 guidance counselors. But in addition to all of that, we do work weekly in meetings to identify students who are having struggles and having issues, and then to provide them with services. We have, a pretty high number of outside counselors who also come into our school. They work with us, they work with our students, because our feeling is, how can you learn when you have a major traumatic issue that's impacting you? How can you learn when you have a significant anxiety that's getting in the way? How can you learn when you have some other emotional issue that's getting in the way? So again, I think our job is to try to address that and remove that. And so I think we do a lot. Could we do more? I'm sure. It is my greatest fear is having something like that happen. That happened in Parkland, happen here. It keeps me up at night, so I think to your point, we do a lot to try to address the emotional learning for individuals, and I hope that is making the impact that needs to happen.
All right, thank you, Principal Roach. That was Principal Jeremy Roach of Fitchburg High School.
And our City News traveled to the Fitchburg High School Fieldhouse today with me, Junior, talking a little bit about gun violence today. Obviously, you had spoken with another reporter. Your take on today's tribute?
I feel like it's good that it was, how you say, it was brought up. Let's just say that it was brought up because we all should be informed about these things. And I think it's a good thing.
Moving ahead as a future voter, of course, this will shape possibly your decisions ahead.
It's going to be a big factor in my decisions about the future in voting. So that's basically it.
More to come right here from the Fitchburg High School Fieldhouse. This is our City News.
A surprise visitor to FATV donated a much-needed gift this week. Glenn Fossa has the story.
And a big surprise today at Fitchburg Access Television. Fran Cooley, the director of the Veterans Chorus, the International Veterans Chorus, has brought us a gift. The gift is a music stand, and it all came as a need back on our Christmas show with Barbara and you, one of the longest-standing cable shows in the country. And Fran, so nice of you to come and give us a gift today. And you're looking for a few good folks, too.
Absolutely. I am the director of the International Veterans Chorus. We have veterans from all the different services, and we open it up to different countries because one of our missions is to try and spread peace, that veterans who work and who have lived in different countries, served in different militaries, can today work together in harmony. So this is why we work with school children, we sing with the school departments, and we just love working with the kids and the community. And we're always looking for more veterans to come and join our chorus. We also are looking to bring veterans together, no matter what your mission is as a veteran. We have an event coming up called Veterans in Harmony, and we would like to invite veterans to come. If you are musically talented, come and bring your guitar, give me a call. We'd like to put you on the program, have you sing a few songs, and we'd like to have you come if you want to join our chorus. And we just want to hear your story, your musical talent, and if you just want to promote whatever it is you do in the military, for our veterans, we invite you to come, have a table, and you can tell us about your mission and what you're doing for the veteran community.
There's a special value, of course, to our veterans, and of course when they're involved in giving back, so to speak, and entertaining us. This is April 21st at the Veterans Center in Leominster. It's a Saturday. It's 1 to 5, and it's going to be a great time.
Absolutely. And we want to make sure you know that there are some wonderful fundraisers out there, but this is not a fundraiser. You can leave your money home. This is all about networking with the community, with the other veterans. It's about helping other veterans who have needs. If your organization can supply those needs, please give me a call, set up a table. If you want to come and perform, we would love to have you join our program. Even if you're not in the Fitchburg area, come for the day. It's worth a trip to Leominster, to the Veterans Center, and just to meet other veterans.
And we want our viewers to know that Veterans Center is right on West Street, right near the
Senior Center.
And the Senior Center, and there's a funeral home across the street. That's on West Street. Saturday, April 21st, 1 to 5. And once again, the whole purpose of our visit today, accepting this wonderful gift. And you, too, can find out more about Fitchburg Access Television. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
And we'll be right back with more right after this on Our City News.
We'll be right back with more from Our City News on FATV.
Hi, I'm Dirk Burrows, and if you love tinkering around in the garage as much as we do, then join Glenn, Arissa, and me while we tour some great car collections all over New England. Tune in this fall for new episodes of Classic Drive Television right here on FATV.
You're watching Our City News on FATV.
Let's head over to Matt Carroll with this week's Sports Report.
Hi, this is Matt Carroll. Today is March 22nd. This is the FATV Sports Report. Again, we start with local sports. Not much to report there as we have some downtime for high school until March 29th. That's a week away. That's when lacrosse, baseball, softball kick off across town. We will have an update on if it will start that day because of the weather that it has just come in. A lot of the field's still covered with snow. We now move on to college sports. Speaking of the weather postponing 2 baseball games so far and a couple softball games. Girls lacrosse also postponed. There's still snow on the field. They got postponed last night, so we'll have some updates on when they might start playing and if they go to the indoor facilities. We now move on to March Madness, greatest time of the year, the Sweet 16. The Sweet 16 games start up today and tomorrow. We start with the South and the West. Both those regions playing today. We have the first game at 7:07. Loyola playing Nevada, 2 Cinderella teams, so no matter what, one of those 2 teams will move on to the Elite 8. Loyola an 11 seed and Nevada a 7. The second game will be Michigan and Texas A&M. Texas A&M, great defense. We'll see if Michigan can ride that perimeter game onto the Elite 8. We now go to the third game of the night. It's K-State versus Kentucky. I think this one's a bit of a mismatch. I think Kentucky has the upper hand and makes it another Elite Eight. Florida State and the Zags play at 10:07. Two very deep teams there. We'll see how that goes going on to the Elite Eight. I do think Gonzaga has enough to move on, even though they do play a weak schedule and their record doesn't show, what kind of team they are. I do think they get past Florida State. Florida State has shown that they can be kind of inconsistent. We now move on to Friday, the East and the Midwest. The first game is Kansas and Clemson. This might be the most interesting game. Clemson really clicking, really playing well, really taking care of business against Auburn in their last round, the second round. Kansas does have a history of blowing it in the early rounds, so we'll see who will move on. I really do like Clemson in this situation. That will be at least my upset going into the Elite Eight. The second game, will be Villanova playing that high-powered defense of West Virginia. The third game will be Syracuse and Duke. This one, another interesting matchup. Can Syracuse do it again? Can they win their fourth game? Most teams having to win 3, but remember they had to play a play-in game just into the round of 64. They won that. They beat TCU, and then they went on to beat top seed Michigan State. We'll see if they can play that zone defense and beat the high-powered offense that the Duke Blue Devils have. The fourth game, Texas Tech, and that great defense plays Purdue. We'll see how Purdue fares with all the injuries they have faced so far at the end of the season. Again, my bracket's busted, but there are a lot of great basketball games to watch out there if we move on into this Sweet 16 round, into the Elite Eight, into that weekend, and then the championship game on April 2nd. We now move on to pro sports. We got the NBA. The Celtics win a close one against OKC, 100-99. The NHL, the Bruins lose a close one, 2-1 against the Blues in overtime Wednesday night, but they will be looking to bounce back against Dallas on Friday at 8:30. Again, this is Matt Carroll, and that's the FATV Sports Report.
Fitchburg Art Museum continues with the fantastical political exhibition. Let's go over to Cledia Spiro with this week's featured artist.
This week in our city news, we highlight Denora Justice from our exhibition Fantastical Political that's running through January 3rd. As you can see behind me, Denora works with a marbling technique to get these beautiful patterns in her painting. And this is part of her Odalisque series, and she really wanted to have an understanding of how in art history, but also in history in general, the female nude and also how they lay in certain paintings has been exoticized and has been grouped together with nature. Here we are with another one of Denora Justice's Odalisque pieces. This is really amazing because Denora is also a Brazilian artist based in Boston, and she uses nature again and the female nude to understand how sayings like Mother Nature is meant to be understood, even in contemporary society. For instance, it has the connotation of being controlled and conquered, and she wants us to have a different understanding of what being female in contemporary society can mean. So here we're with another one of Denora Justice's paintings. This is called Madonna of the Woods. And as you can see, she uses a marbling technique to be able to do all of her paintings, which is really fascinating. Essentially, what it means is putting pigment in a stable bath of water and playing around with the patterns. And then you put the canvas in there, and it attracts the pigment as it is. And there's a film that gets created on top, and it stays on the canvas, which is pretty amazing and beautiful in the way that Denora does all of her pieces. You can see all of Denora's paintings and all of the other artists in Fantastical Political now through June 3rd, 2018. We'd be really happy to see you here. We're open Wednesday to Friday, 12 to 4, and Saturday to Sunday, 11 to 5. Here at the Fitchburg Art Museum, this is Cledia Spiro.
FATV has a brand new show coming to you this fall. Let's go over to Glenn as he gives you a sample of what you can expect.
And a very special treat right here in our City News. With me, Dirk Burrows and his 1958 Austin Healey Sprite, the Bug-Eye as we know it, and just a very special car of the era. Dirk, tell us a little bit more about this automobile.
Well, I've started out restoring cars, and this was the first car I restored. So my goal here was to give it to my wife for her birthday so I could have the other cars.
Sure. And you're a big Rover fan, so English cars are not something new to you. They have their little quirks everyone knows, but there's something a little bit very special about them and how they fit into American society.
Well, they do. You know, I think the Sprite was one of the most popular cars imported into the United States, and you know, it really led the way for some of the other cars that came into the 60s because it just hit the right note with people.
Something special about this car is no top on it, and there's an accessory wire wheel package, which is very unique, and painted wire wheels, which is something a little bit unusual.
Well, in the first year, they didn't have too many accessories, so Donald Healey actually came out with some accessories, including the wire wheels and a couple of other little interior accessories. It's funny, you know, we think about safety, seat belts, things like that. At the time, they didn't have any seat belts. They even had a child seat that would fit in the hump in the middle. Just sat there, nothing. But you know, at the time, it was $1,000. Right. So $1,000 brand new car, and more college students, more people remember this car warmly. And you know, you pull up in a car like this, and there could be a brand new Ferrari there. Everybody's going to come over and look at the little $1,000 car.
Now we're doing this feature right around the holiday season. Colors are great. You've got some red and some really cream white. Tell us a little bit about the paint, what they call it, and maybe how it was finished out.
So this car is painted as it was originally, and the interior is red as it originally was. This is an Old English white, you know, the probably the most popular color. They did call it the Bug-Eye. In the UK, they call it the Frog-Eye, and that's an affectionate name. This was the Sprite. And the reason the headlamps actually look like this, they originally intended to have these pop up, much like the way the early Lotuses did, but it was too expensive. So they ended up, you know, popping out, welding them in like that, and making it look the way it does.
Now, we do expect to talk about a little bit more of your collection, which is Rover, and you're an enthusiast. We see high-end interior finishes, and then not so high-end and kind of basic Connolly leather. Am I right?
Yeah, in a lot of the higher-end cars, what we would call a barrister or banker's car, or a manager's car, Connolly leather and Wilton wool would be the outfit of the day, and of course African walnut trim for the wood cappings for the doors. That was the higher end. At the Sprite end, right here, it was vinyl floor, vinyl seat covers, cardboard sides, but done in a austere way, if you will, sort of in the British, British after the war approach to things.
And powering this 1958 Austin Healey Sprite is a 1,000cc four-cylinder engine. Dirk, you're going to show us a little bit about that.
We are. We're going to show you the engine. Let's take a look now.
Very nice.
So it actually is 948 cc's. Little twin carbs. It produced just about 50 horsepower. And this was a high option model because it had heat.
Sure. Are these dual Webers, or are they Stromberg? What are they?
These are dual SU carburetors. These are the stock. These are the stock. This is pretty much as the car was sold. Maybe a little cleaner.
And these are the individual air cleaners as we see them. And, of course, this motor reminds us of some of the power equipment we now have in our garages. Somewhat tiny, but very efficient for the era.
This is about a 45 mile per gallon engine, actually.
Yeah. With no evaporative controls and no electronic management systems. Pretty incredible gas mileage considering.
Well, points and spark plugs and gas, and if you couldn't keep this car running, well, you probably weren't getting anywhere.
More to come in our City News about these British cars and some of the personal collection of Dirk Burrows. With us here in our City News.
This week on FATV. Tuesday at 7 p.m., Barbara and You with performance from Kayla Farnham. Wednesday at 7 p.m., Discussing Fitchburg Now, Autism Spectrum Awareness Roundtable. Saturday at 9 p.m., Music Central. And on our government channel, Tuesday at 6 p.m., the Finance Committee meeting live.
You're watching Our City News on FATV.
Fitchburg State University Theater Club is putting on a new show based on the Green Day concert series, American Idiot. We got a chance to catch up with the cast.
Right here at Fitchburg State University, getting ready for idiots, I guess. Ashley, Dan, Kate, and Jim with me today, all in the cast of this incredible show. Tell us more, Kate, about this.
Well, it's called American Idiot. It kind of takes place in 2018. We've kind of revamped that. And it's basically about this young group of people who are trying to find their way in the world and all the issues that come up with that. So it's very dark and very scary sometimes.
Jim, your role and lead in this, and a little bit more about what we're going to see in this performance.
I'm actually directing the show and these lovely castmates. What you're going to see is a different version of American Idiot. It's usually done as a concert. I wanted to focus more on the acting and the storyline, so it's very story-driven.
Very nice. And Dan, your place in this show of idiots, I guess.
I'm playing Will, one of the three characters, one of the three lead male characters. He wants to leave suburbia with his best friends, Johnny and Tunny, and yet he gets his girlfriend pregnant, so he has to stay home. His loyalty forces him home, and yet he still finds himself alone, lonely, and he dives into a pit of depression fueled by alcoholism and drugs.
We've just about heard it all. Ashley, tell us a little bit more about the dysfunction that we're all about to see featured in the film.
So I'm going to be playing the character Johnny, who is the lead with his two best friends, Will and Tunny, who are all trying to leave Burbia. But in the midst, Tunny ends up joining the military and comes back with PTSD. Will ends up falling into depression, and Johnny ends up finding a scapegoat with heroin abuse and bipolar schizophrenia. So you really get to see this messed up, altered side of what 2018 really has brought. There's also a big political movement within our production, making stands on things that we truly believe in, and especially in 2018, that's kind of the only way to get the word out.
And you can see it all on the stage right here at Fitchburg State University with these upcoming entertainment pieces. So many great things happening in our city stuff. The Audrey story, of course, and then getting out to the Lieutenant Governor. Fitchburg is, again, just incredibly on fire.
And the incredible work that's coming out of the Fitchburg Art Museum is just mind-blowing.
Clydia Sparrow invited us over there just a couple weeks back and wanted to do regular work with us. And it's just been phenomenal because she's been able to showcase and really invite and inspire us to visit.
And who's more ready for summer than the people working the Longeau? We can't wait for that race to come this year.
Great meeting. Of course, they're just kicking it off and getting ready to do all of the work that has to be done behind Longeau. And it won't be that long. We'll be live.
We'll be ready for them.
You know, the rich history of the Longeau Classic gives way to all of the work that's been done and all of the work that's ahead in this new build-out of the city, and we've covered more of that with the Theater Block story.
And with all of the talk of the Audrey Johnson story, we just wanted to say thank you to all the first responders out there that work hard every day to be somebody's hero.
Something really special about the Audrey story. During the time that we were talking, she talked about, I just can't give up. And if we really learn from that lesson that she has taught us, even reflecting on knowing that, but going back to it, not giving up, whether it's a disease we're fighting or a tragic car crash like she encountered, or just being involved in a profession where challenges come.
Absolutely. A lot of great stuff happening right here in Fitchburg.
Don't give up, and don't give up on us. I'm Glenn Fossa for Our City News.
And I'm Stephanie Allison. This episode is brought to you by KCMC Management, our local Dunkin' Donuts.
Have a great day.